Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're going to review a fragrance from the House of Chanel. So on today's exciting video, I did something different. We are using a green screen. It's exciting. We'll see how it goes. Let me know down in the comments if you like this format. If you don't like this format, also let me know down in the comments. Today, we're going to review a fragrance from the House of Chanel. And the fragrance that we have here today is from their Les Exclusifs range. So I've had this fragrance for quite some time now. It is not a fragrance that I repurchased. You'll actually see that the fragrance bottle is completely empty. Well, it's not completely empty. It has some juice here at the bottom. But this is one of my dear and favorite fragrances. I have not repurchased it because with having a YouTube channel and wanting to do reviews for you guys, I obviously don't get to buy what I want. Sometimes I actually have to buy what you guys want to see or what I think you want to see, or fragrances that typically make sense for the actual channel. It is a very simple white box. I will say this, I know some people rave and rant about Chanel, and there is a lot of beauty to Chanel fragrances. I will say that they're one of the most creative fragrance houses out there, and that is, including them in the designer range and the niche range. I think that no matter where you compare it to, Chanel does some of the best fragrances out there on the market. But their packaging has a lot to be desired. I mean, this is a cheap white box, and you're charging $325 for a 75 ml or 2.5 ounces. If you want to get the bigger one, which is 200 mils or 6.8 fluid ounces, it is going to run you $500, which in theory is not that much money when you compare it to other brands like Tom Ford. But Chanel is also pricing themselves out of the market, unfortunately, because Chanel clients and Chanel customers are a lot more different than Tom Ford clients. And not just that, but Chanel does not do discounters. So there have been a lot of lawsuits that Chanel has done to discounter websites where they're not allowed to sell Chanel fragrances. It's only through authorized dealers. I mean, not that you can get this, collection anywhere else besides through more exclusive ranges or exclusive department stores. And yeah, so that's the only bad thing. Tom Ford's one of those brands that you can often find on discounters. It usually ends up at the cosmetics company store, which is Estee Lauder's outlet. But anywho, this brand itself is very expensive. I will say that it does have some beautiful magical fragrances. If you are interested to see what a fragrance looks like when it's almost brand new, this is what it looks like. I have Sycamore here. This is a 75 ml bottle or 2.5 fluid ounces. You do get your Chanel cap at the top. It has a CC inside. It has a CC up top. Nothing super magical. I will say that. There's nothing mesmerizing about these bottles. There's a simplicity to them. They have been around for a long time. Chanel has used these bottles forever, almost, I feel like. But there's nothing like super great about the bottle itself. I will say that. So if you're looking for a fragrance that's going to be a showstopper when it comes to packaging, Chanel is not your friend. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. But the fragrance I have here is Misia, and you can see that it's been loved quite a bit. I love this fragrance. It is fan-freaking-tastic. I feel like it's a fragrance that's often overlooked. You usually see people go for Coeur de Mandel, for Sycamore, for Beige, for Boy. And this one itself is one of the ones that doesn't get loved a lot. It used to get a lot of love when it was under the Eau de Toilette formulation. They did change all of the Les Exclusifs from Eau de Toilettes to Eau de Parfums. And since then, it's not doing well. I mean, people are not buying it as much, unfortunately. And I have to wonder why, because it's a fantastic fragrance. It changed a little bit when it went from the Eau de Toilette to the Eau de Parfum. And I do have both of them. The other one's obviously empty, the Eau de Toilette version, and I bought this Eau de Parfum version. And I have to say that I still love it just as much. I think that the longevity didn't change, so it didn't change from an Eau de Toilette to an Eau de Parfum. But the fragrance core is still violets, and I usually have a hard time with this note. Violets are something that I typically have a hard time with when it comes to fragrances. There are a few fragrances that I've purchased recently, like Cure from Yves Saint Laurent's Le Vestiaire collection, which is leather and violet, focused. Ombre leather is another fragrance that has quite a bit of violets in it as well, and I just have a hard time with violets overall. I mean, I think that this one does it well. This fragrance was launched in 2016, and the perfumer for this fragrance is Olivier Polge. If you're wondering where the name comes from for Misia, this was a dear friend to Chanel. So Coco Chanel, or Gabrielle Chanel, was really good friends with Misia. She was Russian and born in 1872 in St. Petersburg, Russia. And they were both very strong women. They both had very strong personalities. They both knew what they wanted in life. They both had a lot to do with the arts and fashion. Obviously, Misia not as much in fashion as Chanel, but she was kind of a muse to Coco Chanel. And they were both also educated in convents. So that, I mean, they had a lot of little things that were very similar. They had a very complicated relationship and friendship overall, but she was there for Coco whenever her lover, Boy Capel, was killed in a car accident. Misia was there to console her and be there with her. And this fragrance, really symbolizes a true friendship that Chanel had, because I don't think she had very many, but she was a dear friend of Chanel. And it really does capture that, because the fragrance itself is going to have that very Eastern type of vibe to it. It's going to be a very Slavic fragrance, but it's going to be with a very big French heart. So the fragrance itself is very French. It's going to be very over the top. It's going to be very Moulin Rouge, but the fragrance itself is definitely one that you have to really learn to love and appreciate. It's a fragrance that definitely has a simplicity to it, but it has a complexity that you can't deny. So the notes for this fragrance are going to be orris, violet, powdery notes, benzoin, Ross rose, tonka bean, and Turkish rose. So we get some rose in here, we get some violet, we get some iris in here, and some orris fruit as well. It really, really, like I said, focuses around the violet note itself. If you've never smelt violets, they're a very particular floral scent. It's not like a rose or a peony or a lily or a tuberose. It kind of has this very green element to the fragrance note itself of violet, but it has a sweetness to it. It's almost undeniable. It kind of smells like a honeysuckle. If you've ever had a honeysuckle, then you know what I'm talking about. But then you mix it with this grass rose, and grass rose as a note typically has a sweetness to it. It's a floral note, but it kind of has a candy-like gleam to it itself. Both of these candy-like floral scents kind of mix together, and I know that sounds terrible. No one wants a candy-like fragrance. I mean, if you do, then you do, but I'm not a fan of that. But you mix it with the orris root, which is incredibly luxurious. I think it's the best part of the iris plant itself. And it really just creates this beautiful powdery, earthy, rooty elements to the fragrance itself. You get that beautiful lipstick like iris in here as well, mixed with the beautiful benzoin and Turkish rose, which Turkish rose typically just gives that depth. It's a very deep and mysterious rose scent overall. And that tonka bean gives you that sweet element as well. So you're getting a floral fragrance with lots of powderiness to it, because it's going to have that iris, that orris root, and it also lists powdery notes, which I think that the powdery notes that are being listed in here are kind of that aldehyde type of DNA that Chanel is so well known for. So you're getting a powdery floral fragrance, which if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you typically know that I'm not a fan of these type of scents. But with this fragrance, it works because it's so well blended, it's so well constructed. It has every different element that really contrast against each other and really create a smooth, sexy fragrance. It's like drinking a very nice glass of red wine. There's depth to it, there's some fun elements to it, there's some wearability to it. It's definitely a fragrance that's very versatile, very sexy, but it's going to be more feminine. So just keep that in mind. I will say that I've worn this fragrance obviously quite a bit, and this is my second bottle of this fragrance itself. And I will say that this fragrance has gotten me loads of compliments. I mean, it is just incredible as to how many compliments you get with this scent. It smells good, it's divine, it's delicious, but it's mysterious, it's sexy, without being raunchy or anything like that. So it's going to be a really good fragrance if you're trying to captivate people's attention, if you're wanting to really, impress someone or impress anyone. This fragrance is definitely going to be your friend, because it's really a fragrance that gravitates and captivates any kind of attention towards you, but it's not screaming for that attention. It's not begging for that attention. It just commands it, which is really, really nice. I do like this scent, like I said, quite a lot. I want a big bottle. I mean, Chanel, just saying here, if you have an extra bottle lying around there as a tester, you can send it to me. They never will. I mean, just saying, Chanel's not that type of company, but I do love this fragrance. Now, I do have a problem with the fragrance line itself. I think Chanel is really overpricing themselves. You know, there's quite a bit of fragrances that are in this range that I really, really, really want to get, such as Cœur de Russie, Bois de Îles, and those fragrances are iconic. They're beautiful. 1957, I think, is one that I want. I think that's what it's called, and I can't justify it. I mean, it's quite a bit of money, and at this point, you know, there's so many other fragrances that you know I could get and try. You know, in some cases, I can get two fragrances for the cost of one Chanel fragrance, and that's a little sad because these fragrances should be worn, they should be loved, they should be, you know, admired by people. But, you know, you can only admire something so much until it's unobtainable. And I feel like that's the point we're reaching with Chanel, unfortunately. Just my opinion, you know, I do love the fragrance house. I do love the Les Exclusifs range. I think it is brilliant. I mean, it has some of the most artistic elements of any other fragrance line out on the market. In fact, I will go as far to say that it's probably the best exclusive private range out of any designer house. There are some other ones that I like better, but they're not technically exclusive, like Celine. But I will say that out of the exclusive ranges for designer brands, this is probably the best one. It has some of the most groundbreaking perfumery out there, but it's a bit much on pricing. I just have to say that. If you don't like anything old school or anything with a lot of character and depth, then you're not going to like this range. You're not going to like this fragrance. But if you like a fragrance that has depth, it has sensuality, has elegance, opulence, and lots of refinement to it, then Misia is definitely the one for you. I do have to say, if you love violets, definitely get this one. Where have you been? You need it because it's just that good. I just have to be honest with you. So definitely let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on Misia. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Tell me all of that down below. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Yes, you subscribe for more fragrance related content. I hope to see you on the next video. Until then, take care.